Saturday, 30th of August, 2025. So Adrian's daily vlog, sharing smart stuff men should know. And then what? Second order consequences. Now this is an interesting little thing that's important in life that is critically overlooked and ignored, or a lot of people not really aware of, but it's the consequences essentially of your actions, decisions, choices, you name it. One rule of thumb that I kind of developed organically a year and a half ago, something like that, 2 or so years ago, was and then what? And then what? In a sense of a decision, a choice, action. Do this or do that, for example, go here, go there, stay there, you name it. And then instinctively, and then what? Meaning, okay, the action can be done, the decision can be made, logistics can be organised, and then what? Move here, move there, do this, do that, build this, build that, and then what? And then you can say, right, that's when you start thinking 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, oh, nice and windy, steps ahead. In a sense of, and then what? Okay, do this, and then what? Okay, meaning, how could this is on the surface something could be a nice decision, but then you start thinking long term, 2, 4, 10 steps ahead, and you think, well, actually, I could be worse off 6 months from now. That's not as effective as I thought it could be, or I'd be in the same situation. So what's the point? On average, in aggregate, what's the point? In net, what's the point? And then what? Because the second order consequences are something that people tend to overlook, in a sense of what will happen next, or what will happen in the sequence of events that something occurs. And there's all sorts of examples of this in politics, for example, but that's something interesting and important in life to understand. Whatever the choice is, think and then what, as a rule of thumb. But we can go deeper to say, okay, let's say a choice over there, that thing and then what is not what we want over there, but over here, that choice in the distance, oh, that's what I want, that and then what is what I want. So then you could say, right, well, how aggressively, that's a nice interesting word I've started using recently, how aggressively am I, as a royal I, a royal we, working towards that and then what? That end solution over there. And then what? How aggressively? Aggressive, metaphorically speaking, in the sense of logistics and pushing and finances and strategy and technique and you name it, things like that. How hard are you pushing towards something? Gently, lightly, of course, life, choices. But that's an interesting point, exactly. How aggressively are we chasing that, and then what, and then what, and then what over there? It's personal choice, personal subjective way of looking at it, but very valid. How aggressively are we pushing towards achieving the goals? Very interesting. And that's an interesting thing I think about, and then what? And look at any decision, and I just say, right, and then what? Does this thing that could result and be reality 6 months from now? Is that what you want really? Is this thing really what you want? And you can go deeper to say strategize, thinking extremely carefully before making a decision. Because you could say certain and then whats are irreversible, or it's hard to undo them, Control Z, unwind them. That's the real question at a more fundamental level. If you do this, could you unwind it? Interesting. And that's something I came across while I was working with business, basically. I realised that, well, this thing is difficult, this thing is hard, but I thought, well, what's the alternative? That's it. Because we can piggyback on all this and say, what's the alternative? What's another thing that's parallel to this, on the same course, or on the same direction? So I realised with work, I thought, well, this is hard, this is difficult, but what's the alternative? Is that. Okay, then you start measuring it and start quantifying it. Well, I'd have to do this, have to do that, responsible for this, build that, and not what I want. And then what? And then the alternative would be, well, I can't do this, I can't do that, I have to lose time doing this, lose time doing that, I won't be effective with this, it won't be as efficient. Oh, exactly. So in some interesting meta level, you could say, very stoic, to say, actually, what we have here, this and then what, this course of actions is pretty good, pretty refined, pretty optimal, because the alternative, or do that instead, not ideal. Not ideal. Exactly. Lifestyle wise, income wise, you name it, objective wise, material wise. Not ideal, not fun, not what we want. Exactly. It's too much. You'd go in that direction as opposed to in that direction where I want to be. What's the alternative? And then what? Exactly. Second order consequences. Thinking 2 steps ahead, 3, 4, 5, 10, 20, 100 if possible. 200 steps ahead. The more the merrier. The more strategical we are in life, the better. Strategical about everything. Strategical about everything. This is micro-signal warfare, really, at some level, where everything we do has to be strategical, and we have to be thinking about it deeply. Do I really want this? If I dedicate 6 months, do I really want that? Things like that. Oh, how reversible is this? Or what's the alternative? And then what? This and then that. Exactly. We have to be very strategical in life, and this is one thing I like to do. Think second order consequences. What's the result? What would happen next? And then what? And then what? And then what? What's the alternative? Exactly. Very, very powerful. But otherwise, Adrian's daily vlog, sharing smart stuff men should know. Subscribe for more, and you will see me tomorrow.